Yeah, am I audible, madam?
Yes, yes. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Hi, all. Good afternoon to all. In this session, we are presenting Blueprint for Assessment. So, we welcome Dr. V. Shanmuganidhi, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, NITTR, Chennai, and the Web Master of NITTR. He received the PhD degree in Web Application Security from Anna University. His working domains are web technologies and security, data analytics, e-learning systems, cloud computing, and all. Sir is the consultant for outcome-based education for various engineering institutions. He is offering Swayam MOOC on student assessment and evaluation and LMS through Moodle from July 2018. It's so good to have you here. Once again, welcome you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for the kind words.
Okay,
so, very good afternoon to all of you. Actually, I am in the remote place. If you have any issue in the network, you kindly tell me so that I try to rectify the issue from my end. I think now my voice is very clear as well as my presentation is visible to everybody. So in this, actually there is a two session. One is 1:15 to 2:15, then 2:30 to 3:30. So in the first session, we will discuss about the basics of assessment procedures as well as, what are the different kind of questioning we can do and how the assessment really helps to the teaching learning process. And in the second part, we are going to discuss about the blueprint for preparing the question paper with respect to the revised Bloom's taxonomy, as well as we will discuss about how to do the performance assessment using the rubrics. Okay, the base also, we will see that one. So this we are going to cover. So actually, I did not have any, I think that WebEx itself is having the polling. So I no need to have a separate polling tool like a Mentimeter or anything else. So from here itself, I could, run the polling of my system, polling of these things, fine. So let me, start the session on that assessment procedures. Actually, when we talk about assessment and evaluation, in the student environment, we do call as a student assessment and evaluation, where assessment is to help the teacher, student, and the administration to monitor the progress. So how it is possible? It is possible only by collecting the data systematically. This is the only way we can monitor the progress. So when I talk about monitoring the progress, what are the things we have to monitor? That is very much important. And how really the systematic collection of data will help the improvement of the student. That again another important point. To check the student progress on the learning, ultimately the aim is to check whether the intended learning outcome achieved or not. So don't think that intended learning outcome achieved in the sense only in the content side, it is also with respect to the contextual side. So by the way, assessment is a very big component and it is a built-in component in all part of our teaching learning process. Maybe in the pedagogy environment, we can have a different components like defining of outcomes. So before going to the session, I must have what should be the outcome of the particular session, or what must be the outcome of a particular unit, or what must be the outcome of particular lesson. Okay. So that is the component. Then once you have gone through the outcome, then how that outcome need to be delivered. Okay, there we talk about different strategies or techniques, because every outcome cannot be delivered in the same manner as another outcome. One outcome maybe need one kind of a strategy, another outcome maybe need another kind of a strategy. The strategy in the sense, the way of delivery. Maybe one way we can have a discussion, another way we can have a brainstorming, another way we can have a demonstration, another way I can have a presentation, another way I can have a lecture, another way I can have a lecture with the discussion. There are different strategies are there. So the defining of intended learning outcome leads to the defining of or the selection of the strategy. So once the strategy gets selected, then I have to prepare my plan, how the strategy need to be implemented into the classroom, right? Then as a whole, I wanted to know whether my process is effective or not. Then this assessment procedure play the role, whether in the definition of outcome or in the selection of a procedure or the preparation of the lesson plan. In all the component, this assessment procedure play the major role. So the assessment procedure is to determine really what the student have learned or what they learned, right? So what they learned, that is nothing but achievement of outcome. It's not, it is the one part, what they have learned. The second component, the way they have learned the material. Because when I talk about the way, you cannot conduct the assessment as common to everybody, or you cannot select the strategy which is suit to a specific group. So by the way, every learner has individual differences. I cannot set 35 questions. That is not possible. But how we are going to bring the questions where I am meeting all the learners, that is very much important. Suppose I have 40 students, I cannot set 40 questions to satisfy each learner. No, it is not possible. But we must understand that there is a difference on the learning by the learner. Every learner has individual differences on learning or the way of learning. So that we have to understand, because this assessment will help them to progress once we understand the way of learning. Then the third one is, when we talk about assessment, what is the prerequisite for the current class? For example, this session, when I talk about assessment procedures and blueprint for question paper setting, what are the prerequisites for this lecture? Already you must have attended some of the pedagogical component, the basics. So those components are basics or prerequisite for attending this session. I cannot, just like that schedule the session where there is no logical sequence. So before, during, after the lesson or after the course, how their approach on the learning, that is again very much important. So that assessment helps one. Yeah, I think someone has enabled someone enabled the mic. Please mute your mic. I do not know. I have to. Yeah, someone enabled the mic. Please mute your mic. Your ringtone is very nice, but yeah, fine. So when we talk about assessment, particularly the achievement of outcome, the second thing, the way of learning, the third thing is before the learning and during the learning, after the learning, what is the progress you have seen? There is no progress means no learning. Okay, so these are all the things need to be determined by the way of assessment. But when we talk about evaluation is simply grading, because about learning management system or today teaching learning process, whenever we conduct so many activity, because a classroom is consisting of two component. One is resources, another one is the activities. Maybe you may talk about the teacher is a component, some passive component like code, electrical gadgets, electronic gadgets, or tables. Students, all our active passive components are there. But all the thing, when I classify as two components, one is called resource, another one is called activities. A classroom is consisting of only two, resources and activity. So teacher is also as a one of the resource. Maybe the resource may be a different, maybe a related resource. It's like your own resource. But the student consider teacher as a resource. The student also consider there are different resources. So sources of today resources, internet is one type of a resource. OER is one type of resource. Their book is one type of resource. So teacher is also one type of resource. So the students are in the level of a pulling environment, pull the whatever they wanted to have. Right. Another kind is called activity. So that activity will help the learner to learn the content. It is not only listening the lesson. Listening the lesson is good, but the activity play a major role in assessment and as well as the evaluation. When we talk about activity, there are different activity we are conducting in the class. Even you are questioning in the classroom, it is an activity. You are conducting a small assessment or small MCQ or small, some kind of assignment you are giving. Again, it's an activity. So when you talk about activity, normally we classify activity as a two activity. One activity is called learning activity. Another activity is called grading activity. So learning activity, the results is only to check what is my learning, how I can improve. Then grading activity where it will impact on the score, impact on the grade. Okay, so that way that evaluation is basically on grading the student. Okay, the instructor verify whether the intended learning outcome achieved or not. And if it has achieved, then what is the score and what is the grade I can provide? So that way, that evaluation play the role in student assessment and evaluation. Maybe we can have a question. If I have a rigorous, for example, you are having the training program, this training program you are all attending, but I'm not comparing education and training. Maybe in our classroom education is something different from the training environment. Maybe suppose assume that I have a training where I do not have any assessment or assignment. Simply every day I am conducting lecture. In between I am interaction. I am doing an interaction. I am giving some activity. There is no grading activity. So at the end I am giving the certificate. Why not? We can follow the same for our courses. What is the purpose of conducting the final examination? I mean evaluation. Only assessment is enough or not? Why we have to go for grading? All are graded, all are excellent. That's all. All are successfully completed. Everybody successfully completed. Maybe outcome-based education today talks about all are success. Anyone success means our normal traditional. Anyone pass, anyone success. Okay, anyone succeed, then it is called our traditional education system. Not anyone, everybody success, all are success. Are you qualified? That is the one word earlier. All are qualified. That is what the today word. Because today we are all working on outcome-based education where we wanted to make everyone to be qualified to the next level. So by the way, once everyone we wanted to make qualified to the next level, why we have to go for the assessment? But the very important thing, the purpose is, I wanted to know whether my direction is correct or not. I wanted to know as a teacher, my delivery is correct or not. My material is suitable to the students or not. How the students, teacher aware. As well as whether my learning strategy correct or not, or my learning style is correct or not, whether I am learning in the right path or not, whether the facilities in the institution is proper or not, or any facility need to be improved. Okay, so the system is connected the teacher, student, the stakeholders, the main three important stakeholders, student, teacher, and the administrators. All three main important stakeholders of the educational environment connected with the assessment and evaluation because they wanted to know their progress. They wanted to know their level. So by the way, the assessment is very much important. The main purpose of the assessment is it is help. It is not to critique. Actually, we are all aware of critique and the things. Normally, engineers always critique. But assessment is not for critique. Actually, someone please mute your mic. All of you mute your mic. That admin can help us to mute all the mic except the presenter, please. If you have any question, you can type.
Help చేస్తామని మీకు ఎవరు
Venu Babu. Yeah, Venu Babu muted. Yes. Fine. So when I talk about assessment, that assessment where it has to help the the teacher and it has to help the student and the the important administrators, because the three important, there are other stakeholders are there, but apart from other stakeholders, the three stakeholders are very active components in the educational environment. They wanted to know their progress. So by the way, the assessment play a major role. So what is assessment and evaluation we have discussed. Why we have to do, we have discussed. Now let us see when we have to do assessment. There is no the criteria to do when I have to evaluate, but based on the timing of, the way of evaluation, we talk about preparative assessment, formative assessment, then summative assessment. So basically what we say, if you go to the doctor, if someone is going to the doctor, right, first they are doing the diagnosis, then they are giving the medicine. Then after 1 week, they asked you to come, then they will see what is the output or what is the outcome. The same way, as you are a doctor, the students are there. You wanted to know whether the student preparativeness or readiness for the learning. So readiness for the learning for so many purposes. Fundamentally, I am delivering a 1 session or 2 sessions per day. Morning I have 1 hour, afternoon I have 1 hour, or morning I have 2 hours. But the students are having 8 hours per day. One by one they are attending. First session they are attending, then second session they are attending, third session they are attending. Continuously they are attending. So by the way, we wanted to make the student to ready for my session, because if you are not make the student to ready for your session, then it is very, very difficult to carry the student for your content for next 15 minutes. Then again, you have to make the student to ready. So it is like a continuous process. Our class is like a sine wave. The student attention rate will up, then it will come down, then it will go up, then it will come down, it will go up, then it will come down. See, it is very, very difficult to have a flat curve. Or it is impossible to start at one point, then I can make the curve something like upper arrow, something like a. See, normally in our classroom, our classroom is attention rate. It start from here, then it will come down after some time. Then again it will go up. Then it will come down. Then it will go up, like it come down. So this is the place when it is coming down. Then your role, major role, where you are running some activity, you are doing some activity. Again, here you are doing some activity. So whenever you play some activity, then that activity play a major role in bringing the activity play the major role to bring the attention level high. So you have to bring it is very, very difficult to have attention level like this. It is very, very difficult. It is impossible to have attention level like this. So make the student to ready for my class, or I can say I wanted to make the student to preparedness for my class. So that is what is called assessing the neuromotor readiness for learning. So it's a preparative. I wanted to check the prerequisite. See, whenever we entered into the class, we are asking, last class we have discussed these things. So today we are going to discuss last class what we have discussed. Sometime you ask like that. So these are all nothing but to bring the student to the readiness for the current class. The second important component is called formative assessment. So the formative assessment is the very important ongoing assessment during the session or during the course, right? Maybe during the course, in the sense during the semester you are conducting ongoing assessment, then it is called formative assessment. But according to educational statistics, 93% of the teachers believe that conducting formative ongoing assessment during the class is the best way to track the student learning or student progress. That is the reason we have an internal assessment 1, internal assessment 2. So during the class, how you are interacting, how the teacher is interacting, that is very much important to track the student learning. So this learning only help the student to improve their performance. So that way, formative assessment is ongoing assessment during the class. So in the 50 minutes class, during the development of your lesson, whenever you do interaction, whenever you ask some question to the student, then it's a formative assessment. Finally, end of the semester, you are doing a summative, but you are not doing, someone is doing. Here, you are not having a role. See, you are not setting the question paper. If you are university system, then you may set the question paper. Even that is not ensured. Someone is setting the question paper, your students are answering for the questions, and someone is evaluating the script. Okay. Sometime you may evaluate in the university system or autonomous system, but most of the time it will be a third party. So by the way, you do not have any role. But where you have a major role, you have a major role in this place. That is the reason it is playing a major role. So here only you can address the issue, that issue of the student. You can address the what issues the students are facing in the learning. So that way, the formative assessment is a very important assessment where you are playing the role with your students, right? So we know that what is the assessment and what is the difference between evaluation and assessment. Why we have to go? Because it is helping the system. It is not to critique the system. We must understand the student should not have a fear of assessment. The student get the fear of assessment. Ultimately, the assessment successfulness, you cannot get it. The student really understand, or the student really get the help of the assessment. The student should understand that the assessment is helping me. The teacher also understand that the assessment is helping me. So everyone should understand that the assessment is helping every individual so that the system get help, improve. Okay, so by the way, why we are going for the assessment and evaluation. Then we are talking about preparative, then formative, then summative, then what to evaluate. Actually, you are all aware, in our lifetime, there are three major components the learning happened. The three major things are cognitive, behavior, and skill. So in our lifetime, whether we are going to college, school, or wherever, or I'm not at all going to school or something, what I am learning, what is the cognitive things, how I am improving my intelligence. Maybe if I'm not going to school, then I have experiential learning. I may not have another kind of learning. I can have experience. By experience, I learned something. By experience, I have changed my behavior. So swimming, I learned swimming. Nobody taught me, but I started swimming. But at one point of time, I'm swimming very nicely in my well or small pond in village. Okay, so that way they are getting the skill. Then by experience, they may have how to behave in front of others, in front of seniors, how to I behave, in front of younger generation, how to behave. When I go to office, how to behave. So whether I'm going to school or whether I'm going to college, the important thing is the three components of learning are cognitive, psychomotor, then affective. That is nothing but a cognitive, then behavior, then skill. The three things always we are learning, and the three component always need to be evaluated. So once the students are coming to the class, we have to evaluate their cognitive level, then their behavior, their skill. So altogether, we are talking about outcome based. Okay, outcome based, every outcome or each outcome is a combination of cognitive, psychomotor, and the behavior or affective domain. All are need not to be equal. At one outcome, the cognitive is very high. The another outcome, behavior is very affective domain. That attitude is very high. The another outcome, the skill is very high, and the behavior and the cognitive may be low. So it is a combination of these three, right? Fine. So next we will come to the important component, how to evaluate. Okay, how to evaluate. So when we talk about how to evaluate, always in our classroom, we are observing the students. We are assessing. In fact, I should not say how to evaluate, how to assess. Okay, I should say as how to assess. By observation of the learners, we are assessing. Then second, by questioning the learners, we are assessing. Okay. You are all aware when you go to the class, if you are standing in the board, in the stage, you could see what each and every one is doing. Okay, by the face, you can understand that what they are all doing. The same way you can check by the questioning or by the interaction. But when we talk about questioning, there are a different kind of a questioning are there. Maybe we can say a different kind of a question like a open close questions. Most of the time the teacher will ask, do you know? Are you able to understand? Question was closed ended questions. It is to get the overall view whether I am going, whether any doubt or not. Most of the time the students say yes, yes, yes only. No time the students say no. Or open-ended question, if you see that someone is doing some misbehavior or someone is not listening, they are doing something, then immediately we will put the open-ended question. What is the meaning of this point? Then you are expecting that the answer. So sometimes we are using the questioning for threatening, but always we are not using the question for threatening. Sometimes we are asking the question so that one candidate, one student is answering the question, others are listening the answers. So that way, open-ended question. Then probing the question. Sometime you find that in the preparative assessment. Yesterday, what we have discussed, you are asking to one student. Then the student unable to tell. Then you are asking day before yesterday what we have discussed. Then he remembered or she remembered. Then they will tell the answer. Then from the way next, like you are probing and getting the answer. You cannot expect that always whenever you ask the question, the student will answer correctly. Okay, but how you are probing the question, then that answer will, you are getting the right answer from the student. The student also gained more knowledge on that. So like there are different questions are there, like open and close question, ended question, probing question, leading the question. Okay, how the one question lead to other answer. The second answer is lead to the another question again. That is by learning by evaluation or learning by question. Questioning, play the role. So leading question, inspiring question, then funneling question. Funneling means it's like I wanted to have a specific answer, but generally someone is answering. Then bring the student to narrow down the answer, and finally I get the specific answer. Funneling the question. Sometimes rhetorical question, like practice oriented. Rhetorical question means remember level question. So like different kind of questionings are there. But these questioning we can do during the class, during the formative assessment. These things we are not doing in the conducting the test, okay, or for internal assessment and all. Okay, so that way we are using the different questioning techniques. When we come to the assessment procedures, where we talk about different types of question I wanted to set. Before going to that, I would like to know everybody, right? Everyone, please take your notebook. I wanted to chat for few, seconds to few minutes. I think I'm up the chat box. Now, am I audible? Am I audible? I think someone said I'm not audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now, thank you, sir. Thank you. Actually, you see, sir. Now, all of you, if you are having a small notebook, you just take your notebook, write any question in your notebook. Any question you can type any, or if you have a system, you type any question in the notebook. You write any question. One question you write in your. Maybe I can open a notepad and I can write. But still, I have only one, window I am presenting. I am not moving between the screen. I am not sharing the entire screen. Maybe I can write one question. Write the agglomerative clustering algorithm. Write the agglomerative clustering algorithm with sample data. Okay. So I am writing a question like write the agglomerative clustering algorithm with the sample data. Something very, very small, simple. For example, I am writing. Like everyone, you can write the question. So once you are writing the question, each question can be divided as a two component. Each question can be divided as a two component. What is the one component is what ability you are expected. So here in this question, I am expecting the writing ability, writing of algorithm. Okay, writing of algorithm. On what content that ability. So write means it is in a certain level. Without understanding, I cannot write. So you are expecting the understanding ability on the agglomerative clustering algorithm, hierarchy clustering algorithm. So what is the meaning is every question is combination of two component. Any question if you write, there is a combination of two component. One is nothing but what is the ability you are expected. The second one is on what content that the ability expected. So in this question, that ability expected is write. Write means the student must understand, then only the student can write. Because it is an algorithm. They cannot remember and write. On what content? The clustering. They have to write. So when we talk about question, it is a two component, but what are the different kind of a questions I can set? What are the different kind of a questions I can set? Because I cannot go always with the one kind of a question. There are different kind of a questions are there. But don't think that one kind of a question is very trivial part. No. You can set even fill in the blank with more challenging one. But normally, the faculty member conducting the internal assessment, setting the fill in the blank is like a trivial question. No. You can set the challenging question even with the fill in the blank or a very basic, type of a question type. But how to do? Actually, maybe I do not know anybody who have attending the MOOC, but where we have discussing about how you can set different kind of a questioning. Even there are different type of technology tools are there to make the fill in the blank itself as a challenging question. Okay. So now I hope I would like to know from the participant, have you, able to classify the question as a two component? One is ability, one is content. Am I right? Am I right? Will able to classify the question as a two component? One is ability, one is right. Okay. So your ability may be understandability, or sometime you may put a design, sometime you may put a solve, sometime you may put explain. Okay. Menaka Devi madam, Menaka Devi madam, Menaka Devi madam. Actually, I have to do like, mute. I do not know, many of them not muting. Okay, fine. So whenever you put a question, I think now you can have a clear idea. A question is a two component. But what type of question I have to set? There are different kind of a questions you can set. Okay, that is what here I am talking about. So once I am talking about different kind of question items, the items you have to specify very clearly. So this question, because normally after the question, I have to check whether the question is valid or not. For example, maybe one MCQ I will give you as an example, one MCQ. Okay, maybe I will open the chat box. My MCQ is nothing but I am opening the chat box. You have to answer for. Simple, very simple question. How many, my question is nothing but how many in the rainbow? Okay, the answers are, no. Wonderful. No. I am asking MCQ. I am saying that MCQ. 5, 6, 8, 9. These are all my options. You see how many colors in rainbow. I am not asking the question for answer for you. You just listen the question. The MCQ answer, A is 5, B is 6, C is 8, D is 9. This is my question. Is it a right question? Or maybe I made a mistake. I made a mistake here. I made a mistake. 1 minute. I made a mistake here. Maybe here. So D is none of the above. Now you tell me, because immediately you said the wrong question. Now you see, is it a right question? Can I ask this question to the student? What is the wrong in this? Nothing wrong. It is a right question. I can give this question. None of the above is correct answer. That everyone aware. But can I ask this question to the class 5 student? Can I ask? Yeah, D is the answer. Can I ask this question to in my class? Somebody said no. Someone said yes. Why no? What is the problem? My question is correct, and I am giving answer is 5, 6, 8. None of the above. So if the student learned the rainbow colors, they may say none of the above. What is the problem in wrong? So who said no? Maybe I will talk to Dr. Dhanalakshmi madam. Maybe Dr. Mithun Haridas. Maybe tell me. Maybe you may be right. You saying that no, I should not. None of the above should not be given. Dr. Yes, Deepa Shri, you are saying that none of the above. Oh. Yeah, none of the above should not be given. But in some cases, it is also be given. But what is the problem? When we should not give none of the above. Maybe I can talk to Dr. Deepa Shri, when we should not give none of the above. So most of you are saying that this question is correct question only. No, there is no issue on the question. He may not think about the correct answer. No, not like that, Deepa Shri madam. Not like that, Deepa Shri madam. Maybe partially you may right. I never say no answer is wrong answer. Maybe partially you are right. But what is the problem in this question is, suppose I am asking this question. One student close the eyes and he is counting the finger A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. At one point of time that the student end with the D. Then the student gave the answer as none of the above. Or the student feel that 5, 6, 8, then he may have a doubt. 5, 6, 7, 8 will never be aware. But the student he is not very sure about the exact answer. Then the student think about 5, 6, 8 I never saw in the book. So I am selecting none of the above. Unfortunately, what happened when I go to the class in the next day, the student who selected none of the above, I am asking one student, how many of you selected none of the above for that question? Then many students raised the hand. I am asking one student, okay, very good, none of the above. It's a correct answer only. But tell me, what is the correct answer? How many colors in the rainbow? Then the student may say 10 colors. You see, none of the above is the correct answer for the question, but the student saying 10 is the wrong answer. Do you understand? So when we have to use the none of the above is, if anyone answer is correct, then you can use none of the above. If no answer is correct, we should not use none of the above because the student may not know the answer. Okay, so in this case, the student do not know that rainbow color 7, but he got 1 mark. But when I asked the question how many colors in the rainbow, he said 10, but he got 1 mark in the examination. So when we set the question, a screen is not visible. Okay. Now I think it is visible. Now it is visible. Yes. Anybody can answer by voice? Unmute your mic. Can you tell me, sir, please?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Thank you. Actually, I opened the chat box. What happened in the WebEx? Whenever we open the chat box, it will be like a grid. Okay, that is the issue of WebEx. I do not know now how the latest version. So now I hope you understand my point. So whenever we set the question, there are a different. I can say it is not a rule. Guidelines are there. I cannot say it's a rule. There are different guidelines are there when we have to how the distractor should be, what type of question. So this kind of ability I am expecting from the student. What kind of a question I have to set. Like there are a different guidelines are there, but basically there are a different test items are there. That is a question items. Right? So these items can be used for direct assessment. So when we talk about assessment, direct assessment and indirect assessment. Direct assessment means we are conducting a test or conducting any activity. Directly we are getting the learning outcome or whether the achieved or not. That point we are collecting. The data we are collecting directly. Indirectly means the learning experience. So indirect assessment complement to direct assessment. This is a supplement one or complement one. So in the learning, there are two things we have to understand. One is learning. The second thing is learning experience. Both should be good. Both should be excellent. Then only the student enjoy the session. Okay. So should have a good learning as well as they should have a good learning experience. Learning experience is nothing but indirect assessment. The learning is nothing but the direct assessment. When I talk about direct assessment, where we can use different type of test items. So basically the test items are classified as supply type and selection type. Supply type means the student, they have to supply the answer. Selection type means the student, they have to select the answer from the options we are giving. Actually, I made a mistake when I prepared actually here's the small mistake. I think I do not know how many of you listened here. Here I made supply and selection wrongly. Actually, in the top, I must say that this is the supply type. This is the selection type. This is the selection type. Okay. So the bottom one is the supply type. Okay. Actually, today I prepared the mind map. By the way, I made a mistake. So selection type, then supply type. Supply type means the student select the answer. Selection type means the student select the answer. Supply type means the student, they can supply the answer. So by the way, the short answer, okay, the student supply the answer. Essay type of questions, then the long answer question. Problem solving, okay, sometimes our students not good in problem solving, but problem solving is a very important type of question. In the essay type of question, we can have a open-ended type, extended essay or structured essay. Okay, that we will discuss. Then in the short answer itself, we have a fill in the blank completion type or some definition type of a 2-mark question. We can have short answer question. But when we go to selection type, basically very predominant one of the selection type is MCQ. Then the match the following matching, then true or false. These are all the selection type. In MCQ, there are challenging questions are there, like a single selection, multi-selection. Then K-type MCQ, where we can have a conditions. So this is true, then this is false. If A and B is true, then C is false. Then I have answer. So it's a very complicatedly, I can make the relationship analysis, then I can conduct the MCQ. So there are different kind of questionings are there we can do. When we go to indirect assessment, the indirect assessment is nothing but to get the learning experience. The learning experience can be collected only through survey, Okay, so the survey may be a different kind of a survey, maybe during the class or during the course I conduct survey after the first assessment, or exit survey I can have, or I can make the student to do the mini project, I can do the survey. Then I ask the student to go for internship, then I am getting the employer survey, then the student survey. So there are different survey techniques we can use. So these survey techniques help us to get the learning experience. So direct and indirect assessment procedures play a major role for the teacher because this is the main component. But normally the teachers say, with one example I can say anecdote. Anecdote is nothing but cooking is easy. Very simple. Cooking is easy. Cooking, preparing the food. Cooking is very easy. Washing the utensils is very, very difficult because many of you are aware of it. Cooking is easy. Washing the utensils is very, very difficult. The same way, conducting the assessment is easy, but correcting the papers are very, very difficult. That is the reason today there are different strategies, different technologies are play the role to conduct the assessment. Many times the students, they are submitting the assignment with the imagination of anyhow that, I am not going to get the what is called the script. So that way, what is called conducting the assessment and evaluating the script or assessing the script and giving the feedback to the student is very much important. So by the way, the technology is again play the major role in conducting the assessment, where already I told you, the direct assessment procedures where we can have different than indirect assessment procedure. So today technology play a major role. Technology play the major role in conducting the assessment so that easily you can evaluate. Easily it can be evaluated and the feedback will be given. The feedback will be given individually, not collectively. In cases what happened, the feedback we are giving collectively. So in general, feedback will not help to the individual. So how individually everyone will get the feedback will be the major component. So that way, the technology again play the major role with the pedagogy, but it should not go in two different directions. It has to go aligned. That is very much important. So online assessment play a major role where different tools, in fact, we are giving a training program at NITTTR, different assessment procedures using the technology tools. All we are using is a free open source tool. How free open source tool can be used for self-assessment and formative assessment as well as to the summative assessment. Because it is easy for the teacher to give the feedback. It is easy for the teacher to give the feedback. Okay. So let me stop now. maybe almost what is the time now? To 5. Maybe 5 to 10 or 5 minutes we will have a discussion. Then we will, because continuously in the classroom 1 hour, if someone is delivering the lecture, no interaction, then it will be a very, very difficult point to get the learning, the progress, see the progress. Now let me open my chat box, or anybody, can you enable your mic and you can maybe ask the question. If I know the answer, then I will give you. If I do not know the answer, then I will get the answer. I will give back to you. Okay. If anybody can have an answer based on whatever we have discussed so far. So we have discussed what exactly assessment and evaluation, then why we have to go for it, when we have to do, what is the types of assessment. So the types of assessment ultimately talk about when we have to do, then what to evaluate. What to evaluate is nothing but, you are all aware, cognitive, affective, psychomotor. It is simply nothing but attributes of engineer. Okay, so you are all aware the attributes. Okay, the attributes are nothing but program outcome. Okay, so the graduate attributes are nothing but the program outcome. The graduate attribute play the role. For example, when I talk about these three, right? These three are nothing but graduate attribute. You take any graduate attribute. The graduate attribute is combination of these three. Maybe the basic skill, the content, or using the laboratory, problem solving, teamwork, communication skill, lifelong learning, whatever the program outcome which is corresponded with the what is called graduate attributes. The graduate attributes is nothing but a combination of these three, or any one in generic. So by the way, what will happen? The graduate attribute only we are assessing. We are assessing the overall outcome. At the end, the top level is overall outcome. So by the way, cognitive behavior skill, how it is playing the role, that we have discussed, what to evaluate. Then how to assess, already we have discussed, there are the two way we can do. So if you have any question, you can ask. These are the things. Then we have discussed some input on direct and indirect assessment. So if you have any query, you can ask me. I will give you 5 minutes, 5 minutes we can discuss. We can have a discussion. Then we will have a small break. Then I will continue after 2:30. Yes. Why no question, no interaction? Interaction, please. Interaction. Maybe I will open the chat box. You can type here. I am opening the chat box. I am opening the chat box. I am opening the chat box. You can type if you have. Sir, is there any evaluation tool for subjective papers? No, sir. Subjective paper is very, very difficult to have an evaluation tool. Subjective paper, the teacher has to do the evaluation tool. Only objective papers we can have an evaluation tool. Subjective papers today, actually the artificial intelligence is playing a major role in preparing, particularly during the COVID pandemic. Many people doing lot of research on particularly your area. I think now you can see many research papers on subjective evaluation. Many journals, manuscripts are submitted. Many journals are present nowadays. It's coming from the Journal of Engineering Education. How we can move forward for subjective automatic evaluation? Yeah, it's a challenging part. So presently there is no automatic tool. How can we ensure all the students are participating in online quizzes? No, actually, when I conduct the quiz, what you wanted to know, how to participate, how you can ensure that all the students. See, everyone is assessing the quiz, Once everyone is assessing the quiz, then it is participating. I didn't get your question. How can you ensure all the students participating in online quizzes? You are conducting quiz for everybody. Everyone should do. Yeah, how you are making the quiz so interesting so that the student really interested and they are doing. For example, maybe we will do many things. For example, I have a fill in the blank, but in the fill in the blank, it's not only one answer, it's automated tool. The blank meaning of more than one answer, maybe 5-6 answers or 2-3 answers. So any answer the student can supply. So it is not to have more objective. It will be little bit subjective. Okay. For example, who is the, maybe very simple question I can ask, who is the top heroes in Tamil cinema? Maybe I can list 5 top heroes. Or which is the fragrant flower? I can list top 5 or 10. So among the 10, whatever the student write, then it will evaluate. But I have to supply all the 10 answers. So by the way, how you are make the student to think instead of narrow down with the objective answer. Okay. How to fix the weightage for direct and indirect evaluation? No, in the direct evaluation we are giving the weightage. Indirect we are only talking about experience. This will understand the what is called the learner performance. Yeah, it is understanding, but mostly this is more towards on qualitative assessment, qualitative part. We will go in detail about rubrics by the time I will tell you, but it is more on qualitative. So that way we will go, but more weightage we are giving on the direct assessment, but this should be more context oriented, not content oriented. That we have to understand. Yeah, very nice question by Asha. Indirect, most of the time it's a survey or we are going with the rubric, but how you are going to address each criterion, that is playing a major role. But direct assessment is having a more weightage, but that itself, how we are going to give the weightage, we will see in the blueprint. Can we have MCQ questions for all Bloom's taxonomy? Yeah, it is, the way. Actually, you are giving a one problem, then you are maybe a equation you are giving. That equation the student has to solve by 10 to 15 steps. Then only the student will get the answer. Then I am giving that 4 answer. Among the 4, one is the correct answer, or I am giving the 5 answer, MCQ 5 choices. Among the 5 choices, the one correct choice. So here what is the purpose of the assessment is very much important. Maybe I will give you example. When you are conducting assessment, MCQ or a quiz or a entrance examination, what is the purpose of entrance examination? The purpose of the entrance examination is, see, assume that there are 200 seats are there in your college. You are calling the applications. Only 200 people applied, not even more than one. You have 200 seats exactly to your what is called your college, very good college, excellent, wonderful college. This time you called for the applications to get the fill the 200 seats. Only 200 applications you have received on the last date. Then after that, no application coming for the next 10 days. Is there any need for conducting entrance examination? Not necessary. So by the way, you are filling all 200 to 200 seats. Assume that you are having 200 seats, you are getting the 2000 applications. 1 by 10th you have to do. So here, in 100 people, your main aim is how to eliminate 1800 people. That is what more important. So by the way, you are setting the questions where you wanted to try to, because you can select top 200. Maybe everyone may not get a 200 out of, suppose you are setting the question, the number of questions is 20 questions or 150 questions. Everyone will not get 50 out of 50, but you can select the top 200. Maybe even one student got a 23 out of 50. Maybe he will be or she will be within the 200. So that way, you wanted to select top 200, but more importantly, you want to eliminate more, because 1800 you have to eliminate. So by the time you have to conduct the exam, entrance exam, where the questions will be in the very higher order level. Okay, where they have to solve, then they have to give. But in the higher order level, even creative, critical, it's very difficult to have it creative. You can go up to apply or analysis. It's very difficult to go very higher order level. Apply, analysis you can go. Creativity you cannot bring into the what is called MCQ. Fine, very nice question by Princey and Thomas. Very nice, very good question. Any other question? So with this, I will conclude the session. Maybe next session we will have it after 15 minutes break. Is it okay? Is it okay?
Okay, sir. Okay,
Yeah.
sir. Okay, sir.
Thank
So
you.
now we
Hope
take
it is understandable. Maybe basics only we are discussed. Next we will go
Okay,
to the blue. Okay.
Okay. So now we break for 15 minutes. So the session will continue sharp at 2:30. Okay, thank you. Print assessment by Dr. V. Shanmuganidhi. So over to you, sir.
Yeah, fine, madam. Fine. Let us start the session. Fine.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Hope my screen is visible to everybody.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. We have discussed the basics of the assessment. Now let us see how to set the question paper and what is the blueprint for that. Okay. What is the meaning of blueprint is? You are all aware. Blueprint is the function. Blueprint is the functional document. Blueprint have the color of the building. For example, you consider the building blueprint. The building blueprint does not have what color you are going to paint internally, externally, what wood you are going to put for the window or whatever, what accessories you are going to place. All the things does not have. Only the structure of the building only available in the blueprint. The same way, here we are going to see the blueprint of the question paper. This blueprint will help the teacher to set the question paper, but the blueprint can be changed periodically by the teacher. So that way they can have it. When we prepare the blueprint, already as I told you, a question is nothing but ability plus content. Whenever I ask you to write one question, so everyone wrote a question. After you have written the question, I ask you to classify which is the ability, which is the content. But whenever we wanted to conduct the assessment, you wanted to do grading or evaluation, right? Whether it be a formative or it may be a summative. When I talk about content, how your content connected with the context, that is very much important. Today, whenever I conduct assessment or if I see the mark sheet or their degree, all they are having the very good score. They are having the 85 plus, 80 plus. In BE itself, getting the 85 plus is very, very difficult in the year of 90s. We had experience in 90s. In 90, I know we always say first class. Okay. Then it came, many students came with the distinction. So when we passed out by 92, when we talk about distinction means very, very difficult. In one college, one or two will get the distinction. But we always talk about how many of you, or whether you are first class or second class. This is what we discussed those days. You just to go behind in 80s, first class itself very, very difficult. Then we talk about first class. We spoke about first class. Then people talk about distinction. How much percentage? Whether your percentage is above 85 or below 85. Now everyone is getting 85 plus 90 percentage. All they are getting good, very good percentage. But when you interact with them during the interview or during the discussion, their content is very, very good. But when they are trying to connect the content to the context, because when we are working, when we have a project, teaching the people, I apply the concept for the project. So I am looking.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, your voice is breaking slightly. Shanmuganidhi, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, your voice was breaking slightly.
Oh, my voice is breaking. Is it okay now? Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fine, sir. It's fine.
So,
Yeah.
you just you tell me because otherwise I have to connect with another dongle. I have one dongle. I will change my dongle to some other dongle. Okay. So, when I talk about ability, the ability need to be tested on the content, and that content how I am going to connect with the context, that is very much important. So connecting the content with the context is playing a major role when I am testing the ability of. Is it okay? My voice is okay or breaking?
No, sir. Continue, sir. Okay, sir, continue. Please continue, sir.
Okay. Some noise is there. Some noise is there. That is why.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Someone,
Mute it.
someone unmuted. Please mute your mic. Yeah. Mahesh, please mute your mic. Yeah. Okay. When I talk about context, when I talk about context, then we have to talk about the cognitive ability of the individual, right? Then only they will be in a position to connect the content with the context. So, by the way, how their sustained attention, how their response incubation, because everyone is different on each and every component. Everyone will not have a sustained attention. Someone is having a sustained attention. Already I told you a graph I have told to you, know. Already I have shown a graph. This is the common graph in the classroom. Normally, any class, the attention level start very high. Then up to 10 minutes, it will go. Then after that, it will come down. It will come down. So it will be like this. A good teacher always talk like that, and they will be go like this. Okay. A teacher where the students are not having interest, then it will come down like that. Okay. Sometimes it may fall like this. It is very dangerous. It is very, very dangerous. But all the students may not have a sustained attention. Okay, so that is one of the cognitive ability. Then how we are doing the bracketing as a teacher, how you are doing the bracketing? That is like for the horse, we are asked, put the slide, and the horses are focused narrow path, So how we are going to put the slide? That is called bracketing to the
Excuse me,
students.
sir. Sir, your slide is
please.
not changing.
Yes.
Your slide is not moving, sir.
I have not moved the slide. I am in the slide, this slide only. Now I am in this slide only.
Okay, sir. It's on ability on the content. Yeah.
No. Core cognitive capacities.
No,
Core
that's not what
cognitive
we've
capacity.
seen. No, sir. What we see here is
Okay.
ability on the content.
Okay, upload is very, very low. Let me please wait for a few seconds. I will join again. I will disconnect, then join.
Okay, sir. Okay.
That the ability on the content, that is connecting the content context. So this is very much important for connecting the content with the context that we have discussed in detail. Then the second thing, what I told you, that whenever we are talking about connecting the content with the context, then the cognitive ability of the individual is very much important. So their cognitive ability, when we talk about cognitive ability, the cognitive ability, we say as a sustained attention, then inhibition, then there is the bracketing, all the things we have discussed. Then how an individual is processing that information, because everyone is not having the same kind of a learning. Maybe suppose, madam is delivering the lecture, I am attending the class, my friend also attending the class. After 10 minutes, madam is conducting the assessment. Madam cannot expect that both of us get the same score. Maybe one will get the high score, one may get the low score. But madam gave 1 day time, then conduct the assessment, then both may get the high score. So what is the meaning is some student need more time to get the instruction, that is learn the content. Some student may get the less time, to get the content. That is differ, because the chromosome of every individual is different. So once the chromosome of every individual is different, then how can I expect that the learning ability of everyone will same? It is not at all possible. So by the way, the speed of information processing is again play the major role when I talk about cognitive ability. Then cognitive flexibility is all about the context. So here only how they are connecting the content with the context, how they think. Okay, suppose when they will think, they should not be in the abstract. They normally sometimes, most of the time, our students are in the abstract. Okay, abstract means they will have a content, but they do not know how to apply the content. Okay, abstract. Okay, but the student must be in a concrete. That is very much important. Concrete. I am unable to write, but just the thing is concrete. So concrete. Once the student get the idea, concrete idea, then only they can think and they can apply the content to the context. Okay, that is very much important. Then these are all very higher level cognitive ability. Simultaneous attention. Then how they are working memory. Then category formation, how they are categorizing. Actually, today we are talking about clustering algorithm or classification algorithm. How an individual labeling the content. So the same way our brain, it is actually our brain is nothing but it is learning. So how our brain is learning, how the category it is formed. In fact, pattern recognition is a very good example for how our brain is learning. Maybe 25 years back, I took one small rectangular object. Okay, so this kind of a rectangular object I took from my bag and I am showing to every individual what is it. Many people said it is a calculator, it is a pocket diary, it is a notebook or something, because it is a small rectangular like a diary book type. But today, if I took the same kind of object, I am showing to everybody what is it, then everyone tells this is a mobile phone. So those days, the people told that is the what is called pocket diary calculator, but today they are saying that it is a mobile phone. Tomorrow they may say something else. Okay, so what is the meaning? Everyone is recognizing the object that they are giving the answers. So I am showing some object. They never see that object so far, but now they are trying to give the object name. The thing is nothing but the pattern recognition. This is play the major role in the cognitive ability. Okay, the cognitive ability. So that way, the cognitive ability play the role. This is what already we have discussed. The test items one by one we will see. But every item has a defined guideline that we have to go. But that will be a very lengthy lecture. I don't want to go for the lengthy lecture. But every item is having the guideline. Maybe I will share the guideline to the coordinator for every type of item. You may get the literature of textual material that will be help you to set the question paper without any flaw. Because we usually say obtained score. Obtained score means nothing but a student how they got. Okay, yes, for obtained score is nothing but is equal to true score. True score means a individual capability. True score plus error. Okay, error. This error is nothing but that sometimes the tool may have an error, but this error should be negligible. This error should be negligible. Then only the true score is equal to obtained score. So whatever I have learned, that should be observed. So my answer script should have the mark. The mark is nothing but my real ability, my real understanding. When it is possible, the error is negligible. Suppose the error is play a major role, then you will not get the observed score as a true score. What is the problem? This will make an impact on the true score. So when this will play a major role, the question itself is having the error. I understand the question in one way, another one is understanding the question another way, right? So by the way, you can have idea. Maybe somebody sometime what happened during the examination, the faculty member go around the all the classroom and saying that you change this question. This is the question with the error. All they are giving that input. That is nothing but while setting the question paper, the faculty member made the error and they wanted to correct the error, or correct the things during the examination. When it happened, one student raised the doubt about the question, then it will realized by the faculty member. And all other, there are so many components are there. Maybe if I give a scale, the scale is not having the standard reading. I am asking you to measure the table length. Definitely will give the wrong answer because the tool itself is having the error. Once the tool itself is having the error, how you will get the correct output? The same way, the question itself is having the error, then getting the correct output or getting the correct observed score is very, very difficult. So by the way, how we are following the guideline for setting the question paper is very much important because each and every guideline play the major role, whether the true or false or long answer, essay paper or short answer or single answer or multiple choice or match the following, all the things the guideline play the role. You will get the textual material for that. Then basically we have to understand that when we have to use the short answer question, when we have to use the essay type of questions. So what kind of outcome you wanted to measure? Maybe madam said, so what kind of a question, whether I can use the MCQ for, a higher level Bloom's taxonomy. Definitely it is very, very difficult. Okay, then higher level taxonomy, once you go for higher level taxonomy or higher level complexity. So once I go for complexity on the subject, that is nothing but higher level taxonomy. Then you wanted to make the student to observe, you wanted to student to organize, you wanted to make the student to elaborate, you wanted to make the student to analyze, you wanted to make the student to critique. Okay, so these are all the things when we go to higher level. So by the way, you wanted to have question with the long answer or problem solving question, right? Sample content. When I have a high sample, number of sample, maybe I can have 100 mark is the exam. I can have 100 one mark question, 100 1 mark question. Then I can have a 10 mark question. So here I can have a wide sample. So short answer or MCQ or objective type where I can have a wide sampling, but here I cannot have a wide sampling. But here, what is called, I don't want to go to every nook and corner. Even in the characteristics, we are talking about, I no need to check all the part. Suppose this is of the ability I want to test. If I test this area, this means that all this area are tested. So that is the meaning is what is called, even when we talk about characteristics, where we talk about validity, okay, we can have a different kind of a validity. So this is called the predictive validity. What is the meaning is I no need to set every nook and corner. If this corner I test is predicting that this whole is the remaining area tested. Okay, the remaining area tested. This is what the meaning. So the predictive validity. So that type of question I have to select. So sampling of content. Where short answers question you can have a wider sample, long answer question you can have a limited sample. But how limited sample is satisfying the predictive validity so that you are checking the entire ability. Yes. Then preparation of the item. Definitely short answer question will occupy more time to set the question paper. But a long answer question will ask, take very minimum time to set the question paper. That is fundamentally everyone will have a scoring. Here scoring is very absolute. Reliability is high. Here reliability is high. Okay. Here reliability is little bit less compared to 1 mark question. Because in 1 mark question, the 1 mark question is correct. Then ultimately you have to give 1 mark. You cannot change it. But in the 10 mark question, what you will do? You will give a 7 mark. Then later you say that the student may say that why you gave 7 mark. See, someone say that the person, the other student wrote the same answer, you gave 8 mark. For me, you are giving 7 mark. This difference will come. So why this differences? Because once you have a long answer question, reliability always plays a major role, individual difference of evaluator. Then a factor distort the student score, where I do not know, how many of you, I got an experience. When I was a student, I used a pencil, underline the important point. Why I have to underline the important point? To attract the evaluator. So I am, what is the underlining of important point? Underlining of important point is nothing but bring the attention of the evaluator saying that I am writing, you no need to read the entire script. So these are all the important point. I have written correctly. You no need to worry about it. All the thing I wanted to convey with a different kind of underlining. So where I have to factor distort, handwriting, everything where it is play the role. Again, that short answer, long answer play the role. Then probable effect on learning, which question high learning is there, which question that learning in the lower order, skills of the student. So these are all major points we have to discuss. Or when the question paper setter is setting the questions, they have to consider these points. Then only the question will be a tool which is have the minimum error and you will get the observed score as a true score. Okay, so this is what for SC. Okay, so let me come back to, because we have a limited time, let me come back to what is called the blueprint. Let me come to the blueprint. So blueprint is always called as table of specification. Simply we called, somebody will say as a reference table, somebody will say as a table of specification. So table of specification or reference table, generally the educational people will call, right? So this table of specification is nothing but which will help us to prepare the question paper, which will help us to prepare the blueprint for setting the question paper, right? So the table of specification is a two-dimensional table. So one dimension is ability, the second dimension is a content. So content is dynamic in nature. Content is dynamic in nature. So I can say this is the knowledge. Okay, content is dynamic in nature, then I can say this is the knowledge. So when I say about knowledge, then I can say about factual knowledge, then procedural knowledge, then metacognitive. Procedural, then meta. Okay, these are the knowledge I can say. Okay, whenever I talk about knowledge, knowledge is nothing but the content, because knowledge will change, keep on update. I cannot have a knowledge which when I was in the age 10. Now I have a more knowledge. Maybe still, maybe in the year of, now I almost 45, in the age of 50, I may have some more knowledge. Maybe by experience. So what is the meaning is it is keep on increasing, or it is a dynamic in nature. So the same way, content is always not a static content. Content is keep on updating. So I can map that the content is equal to knowledge. Knowledge is nothing but the factual knowledge, conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, and metacognitive knowledge. The same, this will be the another dimension called ability, where we are talking about Bloom's taxonomy. So not a Bloom's taxonomy, because Bloom's basic taxonomy is a single directional. So now we are going to discuss about a two-dimensional. So two-dimensional, where we can have a what is called one dimension is revised Bloom's taxonomy, where the ability we are going to discuss. Okay, so that is the table of reference. The two dimensions are ability, another one is the content. So these things you are all aware, since you are attending the pedagogy program, you are very well aware of the revised Bloom's taxonomy ability. Okay, ability, that is nothing but the remember, then understand. In understand itself, you can have a 7, then you can have apply, then you can have analyze, then you can have a evaluate, then you can have a create. Okay, so these are all the what is called ability. Then you can have a content, where the content is nothing but the knowledge. So ability and knowledge. Okay, so Bloom's revised taxonomy talks about ability and knowledge. So ability, each ability is having its own classification, because it's in detail. Actually, we are simply saying that analyze means everything as analyze, but analyze is a very hierarchical ability. Normally, but for BE student itself, for Bachelor of Engineering itself, I am doing analyze ability. Then what the student will do in the master degree, then what the student will do in the research. So we are thinking that analyze ability means very simple. No, it is a very higher critical level ability of higher order ability. Okay, that is the reason we can have a bachelor degree, then master degree. Like that is the reason. So undergraduate means they have to study up to some level. So they should have understanding and then little bit apply. Then master degree means they have to apply and they have to go for analyze. Then when they go for research means then they have to analyze and evaluate. Then sometimes they can do some create, patent, all the things, IPR, all they are talking about. So ability, everything is, it's not with the simple word, it's too complex in nature. Okay. So when we practice, first what we have to do, we have to consider what is the program we are going to write. This is the table normally. So we request all the control of examination of the institutions, please get the table while collecting the question paper, right? So for example, BTech Information Technology, semester 5, subject is computer communication and networks, so course code number. Okay, all the things are available. So ask, first the teacher what they have to do, they have to put here, that is a unit 1, unit 2, unit 3. Actually, there are 5 units means I can have a 5 units here. What happened? 1 minute. So 5 units we can put here. You can put 5 units here. Okay. Then here the ability. Okay, understand, then apply, all the abilities are there. Okay, so 2-dimensional table you have to do. So this is nothing but the unit title. The first unit title, second, this is the unit title. Okay, unit title, first unit title. Right? So here you can listen, please. Here almost I wanted to set the question paper for 100. Here I wanted to set the question paper for 100. Right? Now I want to put the value here, put the value here, put the value here, put the value here, put the value here. As well as I wanted to put the value in this all the places. Maybe I do not. Where is the color? Maybe I put the black color. Okay. So this is the place where I have to put the different value. This is the place where I have to put the different value. This is the place where I have to put the different value. So this is the place I have to put the different value. This is the place. So these are all the places, the value I need to fill. Okay. So what is the meaning is, if I add this side or if I add this side, all should give 100. So how I am going to put the value on different ability. Okay, value different ability. Right? So what is the guideline to set the value for every unit? But many university system, what they are having equal importance for unit. But what is the meaning is, the number of questions or the amount of, total marks for each unit should be equal. 25 mark, 25 mark, 25 mark, 25 mark, or 20 mark, 20 mark, 20 mark, 20 mark, 20 mark. So 5 units, 20, 100 mark. So every unit must have 20 mark minimum. Okay, then they have what is called choices. Including choices, they have a minimum every unit must have. Some universities they have they can have a 15, 20, 20. Then any unit you can set one question where you can have a 15 mark question. That question will come from any unit, but that question should be in the level of apply or analyze, like they can have. So every university system have a different procedure, but generic, this is fixed by the university, but this is never fixed by the university. This will be always guideline to the teacher. Okay, this will be sometime rule. You must have a 20 mark in each unit, but this cannot be the rule. This is the guideline always to the question paper setter. So how to set the value? Normally, what are the factors need to be considered? First, number of periods allotted to. See, in the curriculum, I do not know how many of you have listened to the curriculum. When we are setting the curriculum, in each unit, the right side, 9 hours, 9. Now, what happened? During the preparation of the curriculum, some places that Board of Studies are very particular and they are asking them to change the value. In fact, I go to Board of Studies meeting where I am always very particular, because I am in the subject side as well as I am in the pedagogy side. I always very particular about, because this is the reference value. How I never say that the student, they have to stick on the value. Okay, sorry, the teacher has to stick on the number of allotted period. But that is a reference value, how much importance I have to give to the particular unit. Based on that much importance, the teacher has to give that much importance of allotted mark for the particular unit. Yes? Yes, please. Dr. Naga Satish Kumar? Yeah, okay, fine. So, a number of periods allotted, so that will play a major role in, setting the mark. Then usefulness of the content. So there are 3 things you have to understand. Usefulness of the particular unit to learn or to get the job in the industry. See, sometime all the units we asked the faculty members to prepare I do not know whether you are doing. We asked them to prepare the mind map for the courses. It's not a mind map connected, okay, course map. Nothing but this is the computer science and engineering. What are the courses? So this is the one course. This is the another course. Sorry, I am unable to draw. This is the another course. This is the another course. Then this is the another course. So this is maybe center. Then this is the another course. Then this course and this course connected together. Like we have to draw this is like a map we have to draw for all the courses. So that should be in the department, in the classroom or in the faculty cabin in the main department. They should have a A4 site of sheet to everybody. So what is the meaning is the leaf node, the least node is nothing but the latest subject of the particular course. These are all the core subject. The first level nodes are called core subject. Suppose if this person taking this as the elective paper and the student must already, they have undergone this paper. Otherwise the student, it's very difficult to understand this paper. This kind of a map is always very much important to get the idea about how the courses are connected to each other. What is this course is requiring these two courses to learn about it. So in this course, a particular unit very much useful for learning the other course, very much useful for learn the same course, very much useful for get the job. So three important component: student job, other unit in the same subject, other subject. Okay, so three things we have to consider. You see, when I am setting the question paper, these are all the important things we have to consider. Then once I consider, then when I talk about ability, already I told you these are all the ability, that is from the remember to higher order ability. How much mark you wanted to set for remember ability? Okay, suppose you want to give 20%. Okay, how much percent you want to give? Then here you wanted to give a 60%. Here you wanted to have a 20%. So I'm talking about in this subject. Here I have a 0% because 100% over. So as a teacher, you must have idea, because you are a subject expert, you must have idea how much remember ability you want to set for the particular course. How much understand ability you can, how much application ability. Actually, I went to one college that in the college that the principal said, set the question paper and make the student to pass at least, then you can set the, you put the questions very much challenging. So what is the meaning is minimum 50 mark you set in the remember and basic understanding, so that all the student will appear for that value. Sometimes all the questions are understanding and apply. There is no very limited question in the remember, then it's very difficult. The student will say it's a difficult question. So weightage on various ability we have to decide. So once we decided, then each unit how much percentage. This is what I told you. Every university has their own criteria. Every university has their own criteria in setting the things. Sometimes some university is having 20% each. Sometimes that evaluator is having the freedom where you can set like this. Okay, where you can, because the fifth unit is more important than fourth unit, the importance. So like second unit have a less important, but the first unit you see have a more important than the second unit. So like, you can have it if you have a freedom. Otherwise, you can say 20% for all the things, 20% for all the things. This is one sample we have exercised that thing I am showing. So this table you have to bring it. So these are all nothing but internal level under the remember, because understand itself is having a 7. That is what already I have shown to you. So here I have shown to you the understand itself is having 11, like interpret, exemplify, classify, summarize, infer, compare, and explain. So that is what. Then in the application itself, you can have a execute, then implement. So that is what I placed here, 3.1, 3.2. Okay, this is what I say, that a 3.1, then 3.2. So here 2.1 to 2.7 is nothing but the internal levels of the understand. Now I have to fill the value. So in the unit 1, I said 18 mark. Then here it is the 20% in the subject. Here it is the 60%. Here it is the 20%. So higher ability 0%. So I have to say in the unit 1, I wanted to how much recognize I want to give, how much recall I wanted to give. Okay, so that is the way we are putting the value. So this is what I wanted to give. So 5,5, then I will go to recall in the hierarchy. So in the unit 2, I can ask 3 mark question, or a question, maybe essay type of question where it's a structured essay question where it's carry 3 mark. So like this one. So I have to put the value. Then here again, I put the value like this. So understand, infer where I can have a 2. But when I go higher order level, you see when I go to higher units always have a complexity. The same way, whenever I go to higher units, then I can have a more mark. I got some chat expecting to solve which is of type design solve complex engineering problem, which are all the above ability level. Yeah. Yeah, you are correct. You are saying that no thing is that is what I already. You see, it is based on the subject, but NBA is always a start with the basic science to complex level only it is going. See, it is undergraduate. Undergraduate, the level of outcome you have to see. See, that is fundamentally you have to understand. What NBA said, outcome need to be achieved. That is what. NBA never said that you said the question only in the higher order level. Never NBA said like that. NBA said that the program outcome must be attained. The program outcome where it is having the complexities there. Okay, I am accepting your point. But you have to understand that you have a course outcome. Am I right or wrong? You have a course outcome. Your course outcome should be support for the complexity, the higher order level. Suppose your course outcome itself, the ability is only to apply. How can you set the question paper in the analyze? It is not possible. So everything based on the course outcome only. That is the reason NBA first asked you to prepare the course outcome. So how you are preparing the course outcome? Preparing the course outcome based on the curriculum. We are going the reverse process only. Actually, we should not go like that, but we are going like that. So you have a syllabus. Based on the syllabus, you are preparing the course outcome. Your syllabus is not supporting to bringing the outcome as higher level, then how can you? So you have to periodically change the syllabus so that you can bring into the higher order level. So these are all chaining process. It is not to say always, going with the higher order level. So my students are very good. My students are having a capability. See, the student should understand. See, by the understanding itself, they can solve the problem. Don't think that without understanding they cannot. See, the table is very much, mathematical table is very much important to solve the any mathematical problem. Without mathematical table, we can do mathematics. It is not at all possible. So the remember is very much important. We cannot ignore. You see, suppose you wanted to climb the step to 10 steps, then without climbing the first step, how can you climb the last step? So all are important. How you are giving the weightage is matter. Okay. At the same time, your course outcome must play the role. Your course outcome for this course, what the course I have taken example, this course I have taken the example as computer communication and networks. For this course, I don't have a higher order ability. I have only application ability because my syllabus is up to that only. If they learned everything here, master degree, because my syllabus is not supporting for them. So I am going with that. That is what we have to understand. Okay. See, someone is saying like that, then I wanted to change. This is our education system. I tell you, I wanted to put in the common fora, but I wanted to give one example. I think you are all aware one. Snake problem, snake story. Actually, I exactly unable to remember the story. Maybe it will be interesting story. Okay. What happened? We wanted to increase our, system. We wanted to improve our system. I cannot say increase our system. We want our system. At one point of time, we do not know what to do to improve the system because whenever I see, it is a positive only. Suppose I wanted to put the threshold, you have to complete this, you have to complete this, you have to complete this. Everyone completing. At one point of time, we do not know what to do. So once everyone completing with all positive attitude, it's good. But it is not like just I wanted to complete so that I am completing. Okay, maybe one story you can get it. The snake story. You see, British people came to India, in 18th century there by the time. In one place, a huge amount of snakes were there. Maybe shall I continue the story? Maybe few 1 minute I can continue the story. It will be interesting to you. By the time huge snakes are there in the particular place, then the British people gave they had a discussion, and in the discussion they came with the solution that the village people, they put that if you bring one snake, it's a cobra. Actually, most of the snakes are very poisonous snake. That is the reason they came. They had the discussion and they put this kind of announcement. If you bring one cobra, then you will get this much amount of rupee. Okay, those days, very, very, it's called a reward. This much reward you will get it. Then very nicely this was working. The village people went near and there, and they caught the snakes, and they gave to the British people the particular place. You know, it's like one place where they collected all the things. Then they killed all the snakes, and the village people got some reward. It was going on for a certain time. Then after a certain time, what happened? The number of cobras every day is coming very high to the British people. Earlier per day 5 to 10. Nowadays it is like 20 to 30, 30 to 40. Like it is keep on increasing. The British people got confused. Why? When we announced the offer, the people bought. They caught the cobra and they brought it only 5, 10. Like per day we got maximum of 5, 6. But nowadays they are bringing 30, 40 every day and getting. So the British people got confused. That much number of snakes are there, or what happened? Then one of our Indian people informed to the British people that actually now every household they started to grow the cobra so that they can submit here and collect the money. You see how they changed, the people changed the mentality. So what happened? Every house, nearby house, they started to grow the cobra, the snakes. Then British people surprised how they never thought about once we put this kind of announcement, the people will, start to grow the cobra. Then the British people, what happened? They, removed the particular announcement. They said that that announcement is not valid hereafter. Then anybody will carry the, or grow the cobra. After that, the British people demolished that, they abolished this particular announcement. Then all the cobra went to, again, the people, every household took the cobras and again put into the forest. I mean, the nearby places. So earlier the number of cobra is n. Now the number of cobra is n1. What is the meaning is n is less than n1. So they put some rule or they put some reward point, but the reward point backfired. Maybe these are all something happening in our system, but how we are going to bring the system in certain level, really it is improving the system, that is very much important. Okay, so it is not directly connecting to that one, but we are very particular about our system, but we have to more concern about our system because every day we are changing something, but on one point of time we do not know what to do, but our students are suffered a lot. That we have to understand. Okay, so whether whatever they learned, whether 100% they have learned, teach less, learn more. So how they are going to apply, how they are with the context. I am learning minimum. I learned only one programming language. I am 100%. What is called have a confident on that particular programming language. I will write any program on that. Whether that student is coming out with that kind of answer, sir, I learned 3 language in my in my syllabus, but in which language you are very strong? I'm not strong in all the language, but I know I will learn. Like that answer I am getting from the students, then it will be not good for the development. Okay, fine. So let me come back. We are putting the value. So this is the reference table. So the reference table give the value. You have to. This is just I am putting the next step, but it was worked out. Actually, it will take long time. It will take nearly more than an hour to prepare this kind of a table. So here all are 0. So finally, you see here I have a 20. What is called actually I made some mistakes because it's coming around only 91. So here I have to increase something. So I got 5,5. Here I have to get 10. Then here also I have to put somewhere. So I have to see the syllabus. I have to change. So once I bring it this side also, I added that value. Also value 100. So after that I have to set the question there. So when I say 5 mark, I cannot ask 5 mark. So here only the structured essay question play the role. The structured essay question is nothing but we have a 10 2-mark question, then 10 mark question, 5 question in the sense, or 5 mark question. In the 1 5-mark question, I can have a 2 question. One is 2-mark question, another one is a 3-mark question. Like that structured essay question, I have to have. So what you can, even that's an exercise like you can write one extended essay type of question. Then convert the extended essay type of question as a structured essay type of question. So altogether, the essay type of question should meet the structured essay type of question. How we are going to break. For example, draw the architecture of 8086 microprocessor and explain the blocks. Okay, the same question can be restructured. The first 3 mark, draw the architecture of 8086 microprocessor. Second, compare the write the short note on direct, indirect, and immediate addressing modes. The fourth one, third question. Like I am writing as a 3 question, as a single question. So like the 3 question together achieving the single question. So by the way, reliability is also get increased, and the reference table also very much helpful to prepare the question, and the sample also very high. Once the sample is appropriate, then that you can have a proper value. The sample is not adequate, definitely whatever you are operating on it, that will not give a good result. That is what after election, appropriate sample we have collected, then that the prediction will be correct. If the appropriate sample is not there, then definitely the prediction will be not properly. That way, you have to increase the sample. When you wanted to increase the sample number of, at the same time, usability, they have to complete within 3 hours. So sometimes the student may say, the exam is the questions are very easy, but it take more than 3 hours. Sometimes student may say, everyone finished within 2 hours. So it's a usability criteria. So the question paper should be administratable. So adequate sample, the number of questions, then the number of questions, what is called? It's like a scattered across the all the ability and all the content. So that is the way the reference table need to be prepared. So this is the exercise we have to do. This has to be brainstormed by the group of faculty members, so that at the end you can prepare a reference table for your course. And this can be periodically changed. Though you can have a same syllabus. Okay, though you can have the same syllabus. Fine. So that we can do. Okay, so this is, I wanted to say, like, finally, the thing is, you wanted to have a learning outcome, achievement of learning outcome you wanted to have. Okay, finally, the achievement of learning outcome you have to do. So that achievement of learning outcome, you can check with the table of specification, table of reference, where you are using the table of reference to set the question paper setting. Okay, question paper setting. This question paper will give achievement of learning outcome. Okay, that is the way you can have. Actually, performance assessment, again, it will be a big one. Maybe I will give the lecture material to performance assessment. That is what is called. Actually, the teachers, what they are doing, the teachers are doing like evaluate the student knowledge by what they know, but the skills need to be assessed, what they know, and with that, what they can do. Okay, so that is what performance assessment. So where the rubrics play the major role. That is a scoring instrument. Maybe I will give a lecture notes for that. You can go through the notes. That will be give a clarity to you how you can prepare the rubrics. Okay. So if you have any questions, almost 325, 320. If you have any questions, let me answer for your questions. I think Madam is there.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Yes, madam. I hope, I think, yeah, Maria madam is here. Actually, yes, madam. I hope, yeah. Hope you have covered the reference table as well as how the table is very much important for setting the question paper. This is the blueprint. Normally in the pedagogy, any literature in the pedagogy literature, particularly in question paper setting, you can have what is called a reference table, but there is an additional component like a characteristics. The 2 important characteristics normally we have to have. One is validity, then reliability. So how your question is valid? Suppose I have to set. See, I cannot test the mathematical ability or arithmetic ability of the student in the BE second year or first year. Arithmetic ability need to be tested in the school level. So that we have to understand. So that is what is called validity. What supposed to test? So validity, reliability, major role. How you can improve the reliability based on the increase the sample. Again, that will be a mathematical formula. Then you can have an item analysis where discrimination index and item difficulty. These are all other components in assessment. Those are other components in assessment. But actually, this assessment is a very it's a very broad domain in pedagogy. Maybe whatever I will be able to cover that I covered within 2 hours. So I will share all the presentations, and additionally I will give some lecture material so that it will be useful to you for your further presentations. Okay, thank you. If you have any questions, I can answer. Yeah, thank you, Asha madam. Thank you, Asha madam. Thank you, Asha madam. Yeah, Vinita madam. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Karthika. Dr. Karthika, definitely I will share the lecture notes. Don't worry.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Rupa Kumar sir. Yes.
Yes.
So as expected, that was a great talk. On behalf of ARTSET, I would like to thank you, sir. Sir has opened new channels on our ways of thinking about blueprint for assessment. So especially you explained evaluation, formative assessment and all. And you explained the table of specifications using stories about snake cobra. That was so interesting, sir. So we thank Dr. V. Shanmuganidhi, sir, for having taken time out of his schedule to be with us today. So thank you, sir, and thank you to all who joined. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much.